Welcome back, good friends. We got another Druid healing gear guide here. This time for Phase 6, the penultimate phase of Classic. Big Naxxramas looms above, and you want to make sure you're ready for it, and you want to make sure you conquer it with your Resto Druid. Now, the thing about the Resto Druid gear in Phase 6 is either it's going to be a lot of pieces that you're familiar with from AQ40 and below, or you're just going to try and go the whole Dreamwalker Tier 3 set. All the bonuses on Dreamwalker are in conversation for being good, depending on what pieces are available for you, what your guild will let you roll on, and your fashion sense. You might just go with the whole thing, but you might not. It also depends on if you're the Moonglow talent build, or if you're the Regrowth Spam talent build Druid. It just depends. Either way, it depends on what's available to you, what your guild's going to let you roll on, your personal playstyle when choosing between those two builds, and so on, depending on how fast the fights go, how easy Nax actually is in Classic. These are things that we don't necessarily know just yet. We can infer from the PTR and from past raids, but that's about all we can do. Anyways, we'll go ahead and get right into it. Like I said, in each of the main armor slots, the Dreamwalker set is going to be an option. Sometimes it'll be the best option, sometimes it won't, depending on what plus heal gear you have available to you. We'll start with the helmet. A lot of these pieces you've seen before, Don Rigoberto's, and if you're a fancy druid, you got the World Boss helmets. Those are all best in slot. If you want the Dreamwalker headpiece, it's also arguably best in slot. You want Don Rigoberto's or Dreamwalker, those are what's going to be available for most people. Either way is fine, depending on what set bonuses you're going for, what playstyle you're going for. Anyways, that's the best slot for head. Dreamwalkers or Don Rigoberto's, in my opinion. You can talk about the World Boss stuff, but most people are not going to have access to that. Shoulders, Wild Girl Spalders, you've been wearing them for 15 years, me too. Aside from that, you got, of course, Dreamwalker Spalders. You could use an Eternary Mantle, but I don't know why you would when you could just use Wild Growth. Chest piece, of course, again, Dreamwalker Tunic, and Robes of the Guardian Saint. Myself, personally, I'd use any excuse not to use Robes of the Guardian Saint. I've seen the strat robes till my eyes are bleeding. So, in my opinion, just go with the Dreamwalker Tunic here. You can wear a cool tabard and stuff, and you don't have to see this nasty turquoise robe for the rest of Classic. Wrists, Bracelets of Royal Redemption are a great option, of course. You might have to wrestle some priests and stuff over them, but, And Dreamwalker Wrist Guards, of course. Hands, of course. Dreamwalker Hand Guards. You're probably going to end up with the Waspide Gauntlets for a while. That's probably, aside from Tier 3, that's probably, the best bet, unless you're trying to maintain the Tier 2 3-piece bonus. And you probably would for a while. But in Nax, I think you just kind of want to upgrade to Tier 3 as much as you can. Waspide Gauntlets or Dreamwalker Handguards here are, in my opinion, best in slot. Waist, Grasp of the Old God. Again, you'll have to fight some other healers for this, but it is best in slot, in my opinion. Dreamwalker Girdle, of course, is another option. You could still be rocking your Core Helm belt or your Vecna Lash belt, but I don't know why you would. You want, the Grasp of the Old God, talk nice to your guild. Throw them some Mark of the Wilds, all that good stuff. Leggings, Empowered Leggings, or Dreamwalker Leggards. Pretty much the same as every other slot. You got your big boy plus heal, high contested item, and then you got your Tier 3. Like I said, you're going to want some Tier 3 in these slots depending on which set bonuses you actively want. And you're not always going to have the best in slot healing pieces available to you. It's going to be highly contested items on each of these slots, so I think a lot of druids will end up eventually just having full Tier 3. But other classes do want their Tier 3 too, so I guess it depends on what your guild's prioritizing to what. And feet, of course, Boots of Pure Thought. I've seen 2 of these come out of a trash pack, and then I've seen, months of none of them. So if you have them, great. They're best in slot. If you don't, well, sorry. You can also have the Dreamwalker Boots, of course, depending again on what set bonuses you're going after. Now, one thing to mention is you could, try to as I mentioned a second ago, is try to maintain the Tier 2 3-piece bonus for regeneration. If you have access to Tier 3, you're obviously going to switch it out. But it's a decent bonus to try to maintain in some of the weaker armor slots if you can while you're trying to assemble its gear. Now, more interesting to talk about because, you know, there's like a best heal slot and in the best like tier 3 piece. Like, that's boring. But when you get to the neck and other slots, you know, you got some options, some legitimate options. Neck piece, my opinion, best in slot is still Amulet of the Fallen God from Cthulhu. You might have some competition for it, you might not, depending on if your guild's prioritizing this to casters or whatever, you know. Necklace of Necropsy is also an option from Nax. Not bad at all. Pretty much on par with Amulet of the Fallen God. I do think the Amulet's a little bit better, but not enough to really worry about. Second to those, on like a tier down, but they're still defensible to have, is Amulet of the Shifting Sands and Jindo's Evil Eye. And to even a slightly lesser extent than those, Angelisa's Charm. You should be able to have one of those three options going into Nax at least. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing. But Amulet of the Fallen God and Necklace of Necropsy is where you want to be. And then the other three options are defensible until you get there. Back, you know, you could still be rocking Hide of the Wild. It's kind of like the Strat Robe model. I'm kind of sick of looking at it. It's kind of ugly. So your best in slot is, in my opinion, Cloak of Suturing. But, you know, some people argue Cloak of Clarity is better. Either way, you're good to go on either of these pieces. If you're still using Hide of the Wild, Shroud of Pure Thought, you know, you don't have to feel ashamed of it, because this is not a huge upgrade. Although I do think the other two pieces are quite a bit better. Where are we at now? It's a good video, right? Yep. Rings, Pure Elementium Band. Let's try that again. Pure Elementium Band and Band of Unanswered Prayers. Arguably your best in slot. Other options include Ring of the Martyr. And if you're like me, you're probably still rocking a Cauterizing Band, although you'd not like to admit it. Anyways, Pure Elementium Band, Band of Unanswered Prayers, and Ring of the Martyr are your best options. Probably highly contested items within your guild. Could still be rocking Cauterizing Bands, even the Marker Forging, Scylla Forging, wherever. The Forging Ring, you know the one. You could still be rocking that. It's not even that much worse than Cauterizing Band, but it's not where you want to be. And hopefully nobody inspects you if you are wearing it. Like me. Trinkets, Rejuvenating Gem. You've heard this before. You know you want it. If you don't, you probably don't have it because everybody wants it. Best in slot Trinket, along with the new Rejuvenating Gem. The new and improved Rejuvenating Gem, Eye of the Dead, from your boy Saffron. Good luck getting this Trinket combo. Rejuvenating Gem, Eye of the Dead combo. Best in slot Trinket slots for all of Classic, in my opinion, kind of inarguable. Like, you could argue for like on-use items, but other pieces to hold on to, because it's going to be a while before you get those, is Wushalets. You know, people like that. Your Royal Seal, still useful. Shard of the Scale, still useful. Those are, you know, placeholder options in my opinion. You really want Eye of the Dead Rejuvenating Gem. It's going to be a while before you get that. Maybe TBC is probably going to be out by the time you get those. But you do want them, because they're still useful even into TBC. Now, main hand, you know what you are here for. Hammer of the Twisting Never. Never. Did I say never? Okay, let's try it again. One more time, please. Hammer of the Twisting Nether. There it is. Perfect. K2, your boy drops this one. Best Mason Classic. Scepter of the False Prophet. You probably don't have that one either, but it's also a alternative to this. Widow's Embrace. Alternative to that one. Not on the scale of those two, but it's still usable. You could have the Fang, the dagger from the Scarab Lord quests as well. Widow's Embrace and the Fang of Coriol, Core, whatever, Dragon Lady. Those are usable, defensible options. They're not on the same level as Scepter or Hammer of the Twisting Nether. You know, Scepter of the False Prophet's kind of old news now. We want Hammer of the Twisting Nether. Good luck with that. Basically, by the time you get this, you've beaten Classic anyway. It's just something to look forward to if you intend on continuing to farm out best in slot. Offhand, assuming you're using a one-hand, Saffron's Right Eye will replace Sartura's Might as the best offhand option. That's about all there is to say to that. You're using Sartura's Might or Saffron's Right Eye. If you don't have either of those, Leave the Life Giver, you could still be using that. And then Not the Plaguebringer, Noth's Frigid Heart is also an option. Not much better than Leave the Life Giver. So you really want to be on Sartura's Might or Saffron's Right Eye. Now, for some reason, you're not using one-hand offhand combo, which in my opinion you should be. You could be using Spyro Twilight. Thaddeus drops this. It's a good weapon. Looks kind of cool too, I guess. I guess that's debatable. Anyways, that Spyro Twilight and Blessed Karaji Augur Staff, those are options. They're not as good as using the mace and offhand option. But, you know, some people just like using staves. These are probably a lot easier to get than the other options. So there are options there. Don't even get me started on Atiesh. That's you've already beaten the game multiple times by the time you can talk about Atiesh or Atish or whatever you want to call it. And I don't even necessarily think it's better than the other options anyway, at least for like your personal stuff. Idle, you got like two options here. You got your Idle of Longevity from Resuvius. It's decent. It'll help you gain some mana back if you need it. Depends on how difficult the fights are. And then you got your Idle of Health from Viscidus. I guess it depends on how difficult Nax Ramus is and how long the fights go, which one of these are actually better. You probably should just carry both of them on you at all times, like a good druid. Anyways, looking forward to Nax. Hope it's a little bit more difficult than AQ. I don't think I want it to be bleeding edge difficult, hardcore, you know, all that good stuff. I don't really want it to be there, but I would appreciate a step up in difficulty, something to really strive for, you know. Plus, it's a nice early Christmas present, I guess. You could argue that it's a little bit early, and you'd have a fine argument there. But for me, I'm kind of ready to do something a little new. Anyways, we'll see you there. Have a good one.